Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine 18 Tarot and Books. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome or welcome back. This is a VR to a recent tag created by Sarah over at Tangy Tarot, and that tag is called Tarot Tube Reflections. I really like this tag. This may be my quickest VR. I don't tend to be the fastest. I like Sarah's way of conceptualizing, thinking about what we like filming as tarot tube video creators versus what we like watching, the distinction between those things, where they overlap, and why. I also really enjoyed a VR by Pointed Logic Tarot, so I will link in the description box below both Tangy Tarot's original video and Pointed Logic Tarot's VR. I am inspired by VR to try this new not filming setup really, the camera setup is the same, but this kind of format of having my browser window showing and using a kind of visual in this way. I am not the most high-tech or tech savvy of the YouTube, content creators, not by very long ways. So I'm trying out OBS as a software to film this. Please bear with me if there are hiccups. And I'm trying this tier listing thing online, which is free to use to display my categorizations. So I have tried to come up with a list of types of tarot tube videos, which you'll see at the bottom of the screen there. And I will proceed to place them into these four, what I'll call categories. I would have liked to maybe try a different kind of thing than this tier ranking, because this does visually obviously create a sense of a hierarchy, suggesting visually that things that I like are above, things that I don't like, which is not my intention. The layout of this particular program that I've tried a couple times before just happens to be in this kind of vertical list form, so forgive that, and understand that the spirit of this video is not to suggest that things that I like making are better than things that I don't like making. This is my personal filming and watching preferences, so I'll preface it with that. So I'll walk through my selections. I haven't actually made the selections yet. I'm going to make them in real time here with you, sharing some reflections along the way and some reflections towards the end, and then I'll finish off with a couple of affirmations as Sarah did in her original. So if everything is working, you should be able to see my cursor here. So in no particular order, I've made a list of types of videos down here at the bottom. Some of these types of videos were provided by Sarah of Tangy Tarot in her original video. A couple of them were added in Pointed Logic Tarot's VR, and a couple of them I've added in for myself. They're very clearly non-exhaustive, and they also overlap with each other. So this typology is imperfect, but here we go. Deck unboxings is the first one. I am going to say at this point, I would put deck unboxings in like but don't make. I have made unboxings. There are definitely unboxings on my channel. I like watching other people's unboxing, but at this point, it has become something that I really enjoy doing when I get a new deck, to go through card by card and just examine them and look at them and kind of, see my initial feelings about them. And I like to do this kind of quietly on my sofa, not on camera, so I don't tend to do the actual unboxing on camera anymore, because I just like that as a moment to connect with a new deck. I also did have one instance where I received a deck and it actually had 2 of one major arcana card and another major arcana card was missing. So I also find that going through the deck an initial time alone and off camera is a chance to just make sure that everything is good. So at this point, I don't make unboxings, but I do like watching them. Deck first impressions, I do like making and like watching. So for me, a first impressions means I haven't really read with the deck yet, but I have gone through that initial kind of examination of the cards myself, but I haven't worked with it yet. So on that basis, it is still to me a first impressions. I haven't read the guidebook. I haven't engaged with the deck repeatedly for readings. It's very much still first impressions. It's just not an unboxing, and I like making these. The next thing that I thought of was a flip through, and here I'm distinguishing this from a first impressions by saying like a silent flip through, or maybe a flip through just with music playing, or maybe like a bit of a ramble, but really the focus of a video being just flipping through the cards one by one. And I'm going to say for flip throughs that I like them, but I don't make them. I find flip throughs, very valuable. At this point in deck shopping, for me, I really do like to see all the cards before I get something a lot of the time. And a flip through is a really easy way for me to do that. So I'm appreciative of them because they help me to discern better if a deck might be for me, if it's one that I'm considering. I don't tend to make them myself. I just can't resist a ramble, so mine turn into first impressions. They turn into first impressions rather than a flip through. I think a silent video would be a thing that I just would not have the restraint for. I also don't always get decks, or don't often get decks when they're brand new. So like I feel like this is something that's generally already made by the time that I get a deck, like made by someone else, that I don't feel like I need to replicate. Detailed deck reviews I like making and like watching. I really like filming the kind of deck deep dive exploration of how I work with a particular deck that turns into a detailed review, including a review of the guidebook, if there is one, how the deck works, kind of thoughts on the production of the deck, anything in great detail and depth as a deck review. I like to make those, and I like watching them as well. Tarot book reviews, to no one's surprise, I really like making and I really like watching. I also review books like of all kinds in written format, like on Storygraph and Goodreads and NetGalley and things like this. I just like reviewing books. I love books and I like talking about books. And I like hearing what other people thought about tarot books as well. Not necessarily just books that I might be interested in, not necessarily just books that I really love. I'm just always curious what people think about the books that are out there. So I really like both making and watching. Wrap-ups like end of the month, end of the week. We know that I like to make those. I've been making them pretty much every month. I totally missed, at this point I'm 11 days into December and I haven't filmed one for November. It has been a rough month for me. And I just haven't had the capacity. This video felt more approachable for me to film, actually. So I wanted to do this one today. I really like an end of month or end of week, or what I'm enjoying, kind of a wrap up video. I'm curious about what people are up to, I guess. Maybe I'm just a curious person. I enjoy these, and they're like an easy watch, like it feels like kind of just hanging out with someone to hear what their month was like, and so I enjoy these. Topic of decluttering. This one is really an it depends on the context, I would say. I've never described rehoming decks from my own collection as decluttering. I don't consider like cherished possessions to be clutter. I just don't experience them that way. When I've rehomed, like traded decks, or I've now sold a very few decks, or just gifted decks, I don't see that way. I also haven't done really a collection shrink in this kind of en masse kind of a way. Like, I will gift a deck here or trade a deck there, and it's kind of like a trickle out of my collection as opposed to a whole bunch going out at once. So I feel like a decluttering video in terms of like quote unquote decluttering my own collection is not something I would film, just because it's not really a thing that I do. But I'm fine with watching others. You know, that's fine. So I'll put it in like, but don't make. Or like feel fine with, but don't make. Topic, pet peeves and rants. I am so here for it. I am good with pet peeves and rants. I have made a few, I would say, maybe VRs that qualify as this in terms of things like deck delights and deterrence. Like deck deterrence feels like a bit of a pet peeves thing, or like the no disclaimers tarot tag. Like these kinds of things can feel a bit pet peeve and ranty. I'm also like, I feel like I'm kind of a ranty person. I feel like I'm a ranty person in a lot of contexts. I get excited. What can I say? You know, if you make a pet peeve or rants tag, I'll probably participate. And I like hearing what others have to say. Again, depends. Like if somebody's rant is like fucked up and offensive, like then no. But I'm into this. I am. Topic of journaling and planning. I like making and like watching. Journaling and planning I don't think of as the same thing. I definitely see my journaling practice and my planning as somewhat separate. Both involve wonderful stationery, but you know, they're different kind of modalities for me, but I'm putting them together because I do journal in a what is technically like marketed as a planner, the Hobonichi. And for a lot of people, these kind of blend together, right, in different kinds of ways. I really like these videos a lot. Topic of personal life. This I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like my my end of month wrap-ups get into some degree of personal life. I'll mention, you know, if work is busy or if we took a vacation or so, you know, I'll mention it. I don't tend to make dedicated content just about my personal life, though. But I might. I feel like I don't know that a lot of my personal life is all that interesting. I'm not sure what I would film in terms of my personal life, so I'm going to say that I like watching these and I'm open to making them. I'm just not sure how I would approach this. But I love, like, Chanel Days makes these wonderful vlogs of different places that she visits and things that she's up to, and they're great. They're fantastic. I'm not sure exactly what I would do in terms of making a personal life focused video, but I'm open to the idea. Tags and VRs, like making, like watching. I love a tag. Obviously, I don't love every tag. I don't do every tag. Some appeal to me more than others, but overall, I like making and like watching tags. I appreciate the tags are a relatively low, there's like less planning involved when you've got a list of prompts to work with. I experience it that way anyway. Obviously, there's thought process and thinking about how you're going to approach things or your different choices, you know, if you're choosing decks to go with prompts, things like that. But a tag feels approachable. And when I was brand new to TarotTube, making tags felt like a really good way in, because it's like a way that I felt like I could participate with the community without really knowing anybody yet, and felt like I had an invitation to share. And I think that invitation to participate that's kind of implicit in a tag is really nice. So I really appreciate tags and VRs as a thing, even though inevitably, you know, I don't do all of them. Videos with pals. This was in Sarah's list of topics. This I think of as kind of, am I going to make a video with a friend, like sitting here with me, for example? And I would say that I like and I'm open to making. I did make a video with Sarah from Waterchild Tarot when we got together in Montreal. We filmed a video together. I filmed a video with my partner talking about the Star Trek Tarot. It's happened occasionally. It's not something I do a ton of. But when it feels good, I like making. And I enjoy watching these with other folks as well. Sarah from Tangy Tarot has made some great videos with friends. Videos demonstrating how you read. I'm going to call this like and open to making. I like seeing how people work with their decks. I like seeing how people approach their practice. I feel like usually for me when I'm filming this, it's embedded in the context of something else. So maybe in a deep dive deck review, I also demonstrate a spread from the guidebook, for example, or I share how I work with geomancy in my practice in a video kind of introducing geomancy more broadly. That's one I did fairly recently. I like these. I think that, you know, these are interesting because it's like, again, it's a thing that I'm curious about and I like hearing other people talk about. I also feel like how a particular, for example, deck or spread reads for another person is in no way indicative of how it's going to read for me. And I always need to keep that in mind. But yeah, I like these videos. And I would be open to making more of these. I've thought about making kind of a daily practice video, for example. Mini collections / deck by theme. This is sometimes a tag and sometimes not. I'm thinking of this in terms of things like decks for Scorpio season, decks for winter, bird decks. Robin from Robin's Reflections just made a bird decks video and caused my wish list to expand by one. This kind of decks by theme, I really like making this. I don't make a ton of them, but I like making them and like watching them, I think. I'm thinking about doing a feminist decks video at some point, which would involve talking about what constitutes a feminist deck, which is really more my interest. But I like making and like watching these, obviously provided that the theme is of some interest to me. I like these. Deck hauls. I would say that I can be open to liking, but I don't make. I've just never done this. I don't think I've ever received enough things in one go to constitute a deck haul. Like occasionally I've had a scenario where like 2 different Kickstarters happen to arrive in the same week, but I've never bought a batch of decks on eBay, for example. I've never gone to a store and bought a whole bunch of decks in one go. So I don't think I've really had what I would call a haul, but I'm fine with watching these. That's fine. Interviews, panels, and group chats. I've never coordinated something like this. I do have some ideas. I'm going to say that this is like and open to making. I like chatting with people for recording for YouTube. I've been invited very kindly, on a couple of other people's channels to talk about different things. I was most recently on Benny of the Fool's Apprentice channel talking about the moon card. Like I really like participating in these kinds of things. And I'm open to coordinating something like that if the circumstances are right. Yeah, I really like this kind of content. I'm not going to say like making because I just haven't done a ton of it where I'm the coordinating person, but I'm definitely open to it and I definitely like watching these. Casual live chats. This is a big it depends for me. The word casual is going to make me put this in nope. I don't watch it or make it. I don't make live chats on my channel. I don't film live chats on my channel. I do like, here, I'm going to make something else. I'm going to add structured live chats as an option, and structured live chats I'm going to put into like, but don't make. And structured live chats, I'm thinking of things like the the Three Girls video, for example, where the three girls always have a theme and a structure. They're going through and sharing their favorites of different things, or it's a monthly wrap up, or it's a book chat, and it's live, but there's a very clear focus. That I like, especially if I can catch it live, which is not always true. But the really casual, kind of just chit-chatty, like not so structured, I don't tend to watch. And maybe if I was able to catch things live, I would watch more of it, but watching them back after the fact, I can find them to be quite haphazard and hard to follow, so I don't watch. Shorts, I don't watch, I don't make, I don't like them. I'm way too rambly for a short. And I find them, I don't want to say anxiety provoking, but I really don't like short format at all. I can wrap my head around them as kind of an advertisement for other things on a channel, but I am not interested. Do not like. And the proliferation of shorts on Instagram is one of many reasons why I stopped using Instagram. Like, I don't like it. No, thank you. Readings for all / pick a pile, kind of general readings, are a nope, don't watch, don't make. I'm just not into it. I feel like the closest that I get to this in terms of watching is that I do watch like mundane astrology forecasts, which are a reading of the astrological conditions and an astrological forecast for kind of the world, right? Not in reference to any individual person. That I like, but the tarot pick a pile readings for everybody is a no for me. It's not a thing that I would ever do. It doesn't really, it's not how I think of reading tarot, really. So like it's not that I'm opposed to it or that I think it's unethical or that I think that it's like bad or anything like that. It's just not, it's not something I would be good at because it doesn't suit how I think about reading at all. Collection videos, deck collections. I would say that I like and I'm open to making. I think I made a collection video once, maybe like years ago at this point. I have no intention of making a full deck collection video for myself at all. But I enjoy watching these from other people. I enjoy them when they're arranged in a mini collections sort of a way, or like thematically. I think that's interesting. If I was making a collection video with themes, they would be like nature, queer, animals, which is also nature, and pip decks. I don't know. That would be my collection. Shelf and altar tours, or other kinds of tours around cool places where you are. I like these and I'm open to making them. I've never done a fuller detailed one, and there are definitely things that I would not share. There are definitely things that are private, but I would be open to like this is what my tarot reading table looks like, or this is where I do my readings for myself and my journaling. That would be a fun thing to make, and I like seeing these from other people. There's no chance that I'm ever going to show this desk because this is also my workspace and it's a great big mess, but I would totally make something like this. And a couple of my videos you've seen my tarot shelf in the background kind of thing, so I'd be open to that. Magical practice videos. This I got from Pointed Logic Tarot, I think. So this is kind of videos about how you do holidays, how you do kind of magical workings. I'm trying to stay tarot focused in this video, but for a lot of people this does kind of intersect with tarot, right? If you use tarot in a magical practice, if you have holiday spreads and things like that. And I would say that I like and I'm open to making this. Druidry, as I practice it, is quite open, and I'm quite open with things like this. I've thought about filming maybe a daily protection ritual video for what I do. I've thought about maybe some kind of filming of a holiday ritual. It would be hard for me to do, I think, from a technical standpoint. Like, I would need my spouse to play camera person to make it make sense, but I would be open to this, and I like seeing this from other people. I like seeing what people are doing, that they're willing to share, that they feel comfortable sharing or allowed to share, and so on. I think that that's cool. Tarot history, I would say that I like but don't make. I don't feel that I have sufficient proficiency in this area. I do have a history background in terms of having, written a dissertation on a historical topic, a PhD dissertation. It had absolutely nothing to do with tarot. I feel that I have a proficiency in history in some areas that I do not have in tarot history, and I also think that tarot history stuff is being done by others in a way that I don't feel any I don't feel any reason to insert myself into that kind of content at this point. I feel like other people are making tarot history videos or have made tarot history content that is interesting. I don't know that I have a ton to add here. Where I would potentially wade into a tarot history content would be if I was doing a book review and reviewing a book that had tarot history content in it. I would absolutely discuss that in terms of, how rigorous that research is or the bibliography and so on. But making purely tarot history content on this channel is not something that I envision myself doing, at least not at this point. These things can always change, but it's not something I see myself doing. I added in some topics, just topics that I like making and like watching, and those are topics related to representation in tarot. So this is things like talking about twist LGBTQ plus tarot decks, talking about gender in tarot decks, and these kinds of things I've made a fair number of videos on, as well as kind of what I've called tarot and theory and politics, or tarot and philosophy, like this kind of content I really enjoy and I really enjoy making. And this is where I'm hoping to put more of my energy in my channel, because this is an area that I feel like I do have expertise to share, and I do have angles that would make videos that nobody else on TarotTube is going to make. Let's just say that. And I like seeing these from other people as well. So those are big ones for me. And so I like making and like watching those. Beginner instructional content is another one that I thought of that I really value and I really have valued at different points. I'm going to say right now that I don't watch or don't make beginner instructional content because I don't feel like a beginner at this stage. But at different point in my tarot reading trajectory, really good tarot beginner learn to read tarot types of content for people like Kellyanne Maddox, for example, were really helpful for me. So it's a thing that, again, talking about this layout of a hierarchy not being a hierarchy, I think beginner instructional content that is good and that is inclusive and that's accessible and that's clear is really valuable. Just at this point, I don't watch or make this. And I don't really see myself being the person who's going to start making this kind of content, because I do think that there's quite a bit of good instructional content out there for beginners. I think a lot of books are very beginner geared. I don't really see a reason for me to step into that. And then the last thing I thought of was favorites, top fives, etc. And this one is somewhere between like but don't make and like and open to making. I can't do a favorites. If you tell me to pick a top 5, I'll give you 27 kind of situation. But I'm going to say I like and I'm open to making. I did do the top tarot trumps, and I had a lot of fun with Masha from Musings by Masha doing that. A lot of the time when tags come around that are like this, though, I don't do it. I'm not going to do a top 5 tarot decks of all time ever, kind of thing. It's not how my brain works. But I love seeing other people do it. So I'll say like and open because I'm open in the right circumstances, but there are also circumstances where I'm not. So this is what I've ended up with, which suggests that I like more things than that I don't, which is fun. I also thought of some reflections on this that I thought I would share as I look at this. I'm going to share with you that I had to really hold myself back from making a tier in there somewhere called It Depends, because everything probably would have ended up in It Depends if I made a category like that. because it depends, right? It depends. But this is this is as good of a list as I'm going to get in terms of this categorization business. I would say overall, as well, in terms of kind of format, I tend to like longer videos over shorter ones, just as a general rule, like 15 minutes plus. I also tend to like videos with more structure as opposed to less. I can enjoy a ramble, but I do like a trajectory, even though I ramble without a trajectory at a lot of points. I tend to like length, I tend to like structure. And I'll also just say, looking at this and thinking about this activity from when Sarah presented it, that my deck preferences and my video type preferences are completely disconnected. So like the fact that I like a detailed deck review, for example, that is not just for decks that I also love. That's not just for decks that I'm thinking about acquiring. I like watching tarot deck reviews, you know, of decks that other people love that I'm actually not that into at all. I just like that type of video. You know, I would say the only maybe place where that doesn't feel exactly right is something like flip throughs. Like a flip through I like. I don't tend to watch a flip through of a deck that I have already seen 15 times, but overall, my deck preferences and my video preferences are quite distinct. I don't watch videos all the time to like figure out how I feel about a deck or only see decks that I already love. I like these kinds of videos. So Sarah ended with some affirmations and reminders of her values with regards to her own channel and her engagement with TarotTube, and I came up with just a few of those to leave you with before I go, and I have them written down, which is why I'm looking down. My capacity impacts what I film and what I share, and that's okay. I honor my limits rather than imposing consistency on my output. This is an important one for me. I've had some capacity struggles at different points, for sure, and I know I'm like far from alone in that. I'm aiming to honor that. I will keep making queer-centric feminist content because it matters. Like and dislike ratios and view counts are not metrics of value. I will engage with honesty and with integrity. I will not contort myself into pleasing an algorithm that was not made with me or my well-being in mind. That was some of what I thought of when I think about this. And when I think about my channel, and I think about my channel and some of the directions it's going in terms of being halfway into a booktube channel in ways that the algorithm doesn't like, and feeling, you know, into some different directions of how to navigate that, I am the Aquamarine 18 Tarot and Books channel, and I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm not going to kind of leave aside bits of myself or put things onto my channel that I don't feel good about in order to make an algorithm happy. And I think, you know, if as soon as I start doing that, I hope that I'm not going to stay on here, really. That's really important to me. So those are my affirmations. Thank you so much to Sarah at Tangy Tarot for starting this. I really enjoyed your video. Thank you to Pointed Logic Tarot for your VR. I also really enjoyed your VR, and I will look forward to hopefully seeing more VRs. Please feel free to share your comments below, what you love watching. If you don't have a channel, that's you know, completely fine. Just share what kinds of videos you like watching the most. I would love to hear. Thank you so much, and have a great day. I'll see you again soon.